Oh! Hello, my name is Benjamin, but you may call me Jam. If you have viewed my videos before, it's good to have you back. And if this is your first time viewing a recording of me, I would love to welcome you to Exercises in Blue, a Magic the Gathering video series where we imagine and experiment with all of the things a mono blue commander deck can be. Inspired by Exercices de Style, a collection of microfiction in which the author, Raymond Queneau, tells the same story over and over again, 99 different ways. In my series, we will be creating 99 remixes of the same mono blue commander deck. This month has been a merry deviation from the regular structure of Commander because we've been celebrating Pride Month by playing with pluralities in the command zone. We are now coming back to monocolor solo commander Magic cards. Hopefully you've appreciated the taste of bending the rules and subverting normality, classic qualities of blue Magic. And hopefully you've learned the virtue of navigating life with fewer expectations. Don't take my word for it, it's advice that I learned from Teferi. To paraphrase the flavor text on Reality Ripple, you cannot expect the unexpected, you can only expect to be surprised. Which is why, at the tail end of June, today's mono blue commander decks are both still part of Pride Month. Not with the partner mechanic, but in their theming. Starting off, we are taking another swing at a Kindred deck, with cards that care about creature types. But unlike the previous instances of wizards or walls, today's deck uses wizards and walls, and warriors, and werewolves, wombats, and walruses, wolverines, and both spellings of worm. And over 300 other creature types on top of that, because yes, today's first deck is a Changeling deck. Changeling is an ability that means this card has every creature type in the entire game. This is a characteristic defining ability, which is Magic legalese, meaning that no matter where the card is, your hand, your library, the graveyard, anywhere a Changeling goes, it will have and will be all creature types. This will be lots of silly fun for us, because instead of trying to competitively optimize a Kindred deck around a single creature type, we can instead mix and match all kinds of different Kindred cards from every creature type imaginable, while still sticking with mono blue. I also think that Changelings are an appropriate theme for Pride Month. They offer a unique kind of representation of me, personally. Because if there's one Magic card mechanic that I can relate to, it's the one where a creature feels deep in their heart that they can find commonality with all people, regardless of body shape. But because they live in a world with constant brutal violence, they will present themselves as anything in order to fit in with their community and avoid the perpetual threat of punishment from a society that can be uncaring, unforgiving, and woefully uneducated.
I'm a shapeshifter. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask.
Yeah, this might not come as a surprise to anyone who actually knows me, but I've come to understand myself as possessing a degree of gender fluidity. Although these days it might be more accurate to describe myself as gender jaded. Unlike a cisgendered person who feels most comfortable within their assigned gender, or a transgendered person who feels most comfortable without their assigned gender, my truest sense of identity has absolutely nothing to do with gender whatsoever. For me, the floor of gender is being bullied and judged most of my life by people who genuinely believe that the shape of my body determines who I am as a person, and also that I'm doing it wrong. I have had to code switch my gender presentation depending on the shallowness of whatever company I'm in. However, the ceiling of gender is that over time I've gotten so much better at connecting with people who possess kinder minds and richer hearts, and thus I've improved at opening up truer levels of myself and developing greater mutual understanding. That same level of flexible identity and universal kinship can be found in Magic the Gathering through the wacky shapeshifters who possess the Changeling mechanic. But first, they need a commander. Orvar is very powerful, of course, an amazing duplicator of our permanents. If we want to go old school, there's Mistform Ultimus, the great-great-grandparent of our modern-day Changelings. But we're never going to get the party started without some card draw, so I'm going to have to go with Vinwixit Verbose Host. He's that 0/4 homunculus of legend. He starts our engines, renders our hand size irrelevant, and doubles our card draw as soon as we hit max speed. Although in this deck, that might not happen as quickly as we'd like. To start off, let's look at our shapeshifters, a ragtag bunch of blue and colorless creatures who are every type, everywhere, all at once. Although only one of them is a baby queen, alas. There's 15 in total, which is decent, but we'll need ways of getting some more. Easy solution? Create some creature tokens. Humble in power and in toughness, yet just as versatile with their changeling ability. This brings us to 18 cards. Still not enough. Ideally, we'd have at least twice as many. Hey, what if we doubled all of our changelings as we were casting them? Reflections of Littjara lets us copy creature spells of a chosen type. We can just choose Shapeshifter. The other 4 cards copy creature spells of a specific type. But remember, changelings always count. Why are these 4 cards still concealed face down? For comedic purposes, just you wait. And of course, we have our kindred staples so we can find our fam faster and cast them for cheaper. We were going to include the Mistform squad, who aren't changelings but can turn themselves into a single creature type of your choice, one at a time. For silly reasons that I'll get to in a second, they have been removed from the roster. However, in their place, as a little cherry on top, we have this piece of equipment which we can give to Vinwixit and make him an honorary changeling. But what is the strategy of all this, you might be wondering? Why even bother with changelings? I did promise lots of silly fun, didn't I? I sure did. And here's what I have to offer. Not a hyper-optimized deck, but rather a deck whose kindred synergy pieces reference over 70 different creature types. And because our changelings embody the identity of all species, they will benefit from all synergy. I am once again tasked with presenting a long list of inconsequential items, and I am once again tempted to tackle this task with creative, defiant whimsy. For the sake of fairness and newness, let's try something different. Cat Ninja, Snake God, Octopus, Goat Bird, Dog Dragon Doctor, Cleric Shade, Zombie, Rat Villain, Time Lord, Warrior, Wizard, Frog Demon, Minotaur, Mercenary, Vampire Pirate, Griffin Elephant, Detective Warlock, Fairy Fish, Human, Mouse Ally, Insect Skeleton, Serpent, Mere Moonfolk, Demigod, Leviathan, Illusion Elemental Advisor, Rogue Giant, Spectre Spirit, Army Squirrel, Eldrazi Otter Angel, Whale Spider, Night Hero, Kraken Sliver, Wraith Turtle, Ox Hamster Halfling Horror Tentacle, Assassin Thopter Servo, Seal Fractal. But don't think that we're throwing just because we're committing to the bit. Of our 36 Kindred Synergy cards, the majority do serve common functions like ramp, card draw, and assorted strategies for last ability. Protection, recursion, rescue, weirdly, several instances of regeneration. We even kinda sorta have win conditions. Mysterio lets us go wide, Sword of the Squeak lets us go tall, but what we're weirdly kind of good at is biting off the best cards that our opponents have, and then either clearing the field of blockers or just bypassing them entirely. Or we could just bump somebody's library into the trash. For the actual final deck of Pride Month, we will be showing some love for the T in LGBT with our MTG. Several different ways that we could rock some proud trans representation. One possibility, actual trans characters in Magic the Gathering. Totally doable for a multicolor deck. Not quite as many possibilities for a mono-blue deck. A similar layup, the Transformers Secret Lair drop. But again, in mono blue, we would be limited to Jetfire and the reflavored Colossi. Great cards! We're never getting to 99 at that rate. One last silly possibility, eggs is technically an archetype in Magic the Gathering. Very funny. And blue isn't terrible at sacking artifacts, but we'll save that archetype for another time. The solution? More symbolism! If we want to embody the thrill of starting off life in a mundane, unfulfilling, dysphoric body, and then achieving peace, purpose, and euphoria by revealing one's true self, we shall use revealing cards with the Morph mechanic. Disclaimer, this applies equally to the Megamorph, Manifest, Disguise, and Cloak mechanics as well. Morphed cards enter the battlefield face down, colorless, nameless, typeless 2/2 creatures. But from such humble, unassuming origins, at a moment's notice, they can flip over into all manner of marvelous, mischievous, magical beings. You love to see it. Let's start with our commander. Got several options for legends who synergize with face-down cards. You got Kaust, Cadena, Etrata, Rashawn, Yaris. There's even a version of Zamone, but we're going with mono blue today, so that leaves us Ixidor, Reality Sculptor. Or we could just go with Vinwixit Verbose Host. He's that 0/4 engine starting, hand size maxing, card draw doubling homunculus of legend who's been here the whole time. Ordinarily, he functions very well with a full squad of baby queens, but just like with the Changelings deck, we are only really able to bring one of them here because this one has the ability to turn face down. And similar to the Changeling deck, our morphing strategy will be take an extremely niche game mechanic and go all in on it. First step, several dozen Mighty Morphers who can get up to all sorts of shenanigans when we flip them face up. Or when something else flips them face up. We're drawing cards, we're countering spells, we're bouncing cards, we're countering spells, we're redirecting spells, we're countering spells, we're stealing cards, we're countering spells and then stealing the spells that we countered. Lots of fun mix-up options, but a crucial point of morph card etiquette legally in the rules, you are not allowed to 3-card Monty the face-down cards that you have on the table. Unless, of course, you use this! Also, a crucial trick about flipping morphed cards is that it doesn't use the stack. As long as you have priority, you can just pay the mana and flip it over to get some nice triggered ability whenever you want. Not that this matters super often, but there are a few edge cases where this is important. We'll get back to that later. Until our Mighty Morphers are ready to come out to the world, they will be relatively vulnerable 2/2 creatures, so we've got some protection magic there to keep the dolls safe. But while their power and toughness might not strike fear in the hearts of our enemies, they are all colorless. And we can take advantage of that. There are a number of cards that are typically meant for people playing artifacts, people playing Eldrazi, and Ugin fans. But these cards work just as well with our face-down colorless creatures and our face-down colorless creature spells who are colorless while they're being cast. In my mind, it's moments like these when you have high-powered cards that are slumming it with a painfully power-crept mechanic that I feel like it just barely pulls the deck from bracket 1 up to bracket 2. Even though the Changelings have an extra turn spell and this one doesn't. Finally, we got a bunch of ramp. Morph costs are expensive. They technically aren't abilities, and so we can't reduce the cost with ability cost reducers. And if you don't have the same kind of Louisiana purchase level of land acquisition as green mages do, store-bought mana works fine too. Although we do have more soul lands in this deck than in other ones to try and compensate. Whatever it takes, right? Oh, do we have a win con? Ordinarily, we would just throw the Chaotician in there and call it a day, but I don't know. For Pride, I feel like my intuition's telling me to mix it up a little bit. There was that one interaction with Jeff Goldblum and Jackie Cox on Drag Race a few years ago. Let's give Jackie the limelight on this. Our win condition is Thassa's Oracle, a glamorous, femme-presenting, non-violent victory. And Jackie, if you have any mermaid looks in your repertoire, you are receiving custom art on this card, with your consent. Links to both decks will live down in the video descriptions. If you have an amazing idea for how to improve either of these decks, I will be away from the office, and I have no secretary, but if you leave a comment down in the comment section, I will get to it before Doomsday. Not the Avengers movie, just the concept of global catastrophe in general. This is the 10th Exercises in Blue video. This rate will be done in no time. Or alternatively, I might switch to bi-weekly videos and do other things with this channel. Novels, poems, music, book reviews. So many silly possibilities. But while I'm making up my mind as to where my life is headed, you may still call me Jam, and for those of you who are watching and or listening, I thank you for your time and attention. Mwah! So I said that morphing cards don't use the stack, and they don't. And I said that there are a few edge cases where this is important. And there are. In the history of Magic the Gathering, there are 21 cards that have the Split Second ability, as well as one card that can have Split Second if you pay its kicker cost, and a morally ambiguous hedgehog who can give Split Second to any spell if you cast it using artifact mana. So long as a Split Second spell sits on the stack, nobody may cast spells or activate abilities, other than mana abilities. This is intended to let players bring spell slinging to a halt, win stack wars, and just generally lock in some kind of cool attempt with no door for defiance or window with which to withstand it. However, as per Rule 702.37e, morphing a face-down card is a special action. It does not use the stack. So while a split second card is sitting pretty at the top of the stack, you may still add mana to your mana pool with your mana abilities. You may pay the morph cost, or megamorph or cloak or whatever, to turn your card face up, and when you do, the face up card's ability is added to the stack, because it's triggered and not activated. Highly technical and highly conditional in situations where this might actually come up and be relevant, but if you have a friend with a Shadow the Hedgehog deck, consider throwing a couple of morph cards in your 99. Keep them on their toes.